All right. So I do a little bit of a talk on auto shift, and I meant to sort of explain a little bit later in the video that I just recorded out writing what my impression of auto shift and free shift was like on this Shimano system. But I left the GoPro on, ran out of battery, so we're just going to do this in the car, I suppose. So impressions. Is auto shift worth it? I'm gonna say yeah. I was actually really surprised. So for context, bought a new bike, came with an XT driveline, and the Shimano EP801. And obviously I've seen auto shift, free shift, etc. on GMBN or EMBN tech and that, and I, to be honest, didn't really. I was like, yeah, seems like a nice thing to have. Maybe like not, but not. Not something I'd run out and say you have to get. But I bought a new bike. It was the first ride on it today. And before I picked it up, I told them, well, I'm going to swap out the XT driveline to XT Di2. So got the XT Di2 on there. And obviously with new EP801, it's got the auto shift and free shift function. So today was the first time really having a go on it, and yeah, I was really surprised. How would I describe it? I mean, I probably wasn't that interested in using the auto function of that system, particularly because I just expected it to hunt around a lot and be kind of like not find the gears I really wanted it to be in a lot of the time. And I was actually really surprised to find that today I pretty much almost left it in auto for the entirety of the ride, which I did not expect to do. I expected the full auto mode to just be a bit of a gimmick that I would use maybe on gentle grade climbs back when I just couldn't be bothered, or really flat areas that just where it wouldn't have to change a lot. So yeah, I ended up using it and I was really surprised. If you don't know about free shift and auto shift, you got three modes: manual, auto 1, which I have set up as full auto, and auto 2, which I have set up so that you don't actually it won't change gears automatically if you're pedaling. It'll only change them when you're not pedaling. And I think I spoke a little bit in my main video about the benefits of not having to pedal and being able to change gears, particularly if it's a really technical trail, or it's quite an aggressive trail and you really need to be in the center of the bike. You want to have your weight in the right position, and you just don't you don't have the time, or you can't really pedal without getting your weight into an incorrect position, but you need another gear, and you're going to need another gear when you get out. So you're going through a rock garden, and is probably the best example where you're going to slow down a bit in that rock garden, but you sort of you're going to slow down, but you can't pedal in the rock garden either, because you're just going to smash your cranks up. So with ordinarily you would think, okay, I might need to be down 1, 2, maybe 3 gears by the time I get to the other side. Wasn't the case with the auto shift, either the full auto shift or the auto shift without pedaling. It was just a case of you just go into it and you slow down a little bit, but you don't even think about changing gears. You just think, okay, I'm going to keep my balance where it needs to be, get to the other side, and the bike is just in the right gear. Like, you just start pedaling and it's in the right gear. And then it's really cool like that. And like I said, I really expected it to not get that right a lot of the time, and it probably won't straight out of the box. I did stop a couple of times just when I was having a break to adjust the settings, because there's a lot of settings you can change through the Shimano eTube app to customize how you like to pedal, how long or how aggressive you want auto shift to be when chasing that cadence range that you want to stay in. And yeah, I've basically got it set up. So I've got manual mode. Basically, you're changing gears for yourself, but you can change gears without pedaling still. So you still get that functionality. The auto shift stuff, and surprisingly, like I said, I stayed in the full auto mode most of the day. And I've got it probably a little too aggressive in the keeping with the cadence. So you can sort of hear, if you watch my video, beep, beep, beep as it's sort of hunting around the gears. But I started to get it a little bit more worked out towards the end, in what cadence range I wanted it and how long, or how aggressive, I should say, to chase the cadence range. And that's something you just got to set up based on how you like to ride. And like I said, it's not perfect. It did do what I expected it to do, which is to hunt around a little bit, for the right gear, sort of go up and then go down and maybe go down again, just as it's looking for that right gear. But I would say far more often than not, it was in the right gear. And it was doing all the right things. It was, like I said, probably a little too aggressive, probably needs a little bit of a setting change, and I will admit I set it up to be very aggressive in that regard. So I'll probably turn it back a little bit, but really impressed with it. And when it came to doing the downhill stuff, when I really wanted it to not, muck around with the gears as much, I set it into Auto 2 to only change if I wasn't pedaling. And I was going into berms, I go in fast, heavy brake, come through the berm, and I could hear it changing gears as I would go, as I slowed down and come into the berm and pedal out, and it's in the right gear. It's awesome. Like, it literally is a fantastic system. Negatives, like I said, and the other positive to that is that it's really smooth. I've come from Hyperglide 12 speed. Hyperglide is definitely smoother. Not smoother, I should say. It's definitely faster, but it is not. And it'll shift under load, but it's not happy about it. It'll do it, is the best way to describe it. But with the Linkglide 11 speed system, it is so smooth, and it does not care one iota if you are pedaling hard. It just changes gears, doesn't make a fuss about it. I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's a little bit loud, but the feeling through the pedals is really smooth. But yeah, now downsides. Definitely setting it up is going to be a little bit of a chore. Finding the right mix of cadence range, how aggressively to chase it, that sort of thing. Obviously, it's not really a fault. It's just something that you will have to do. Otherwise, depending on how well or how it doesn't work is going to depend on how you set it up to some extent. I would like to see in the app a separation between how aggressive the cadence following is, separated by up and down shifts. Because when I go down, so when you're coming to a stop, it's, by the time you come to a stop, you're still sometimes in a higher gear than you really want to be. I'd rather see it be a bit more aggressive with downshifts, but more stable with the up shifts. I just think being able to set up, the direction of the shifting would be good. And when I say the direction, I just mean whether, it works, how quickly or how aggressive it chases cadence going up gears, how quickly it chases cadence going down gears, have them as two separate parts of the profile. Otherwise, yeah, I'm really glad I put the Di2 system on it. And this was one of the things I sort of said when I first looked at the bike. I bought the model down. I would have possibly sprung for the model up, but I already had, the main differences were it came with a Shimano, it came with a SRAM T-type transmission, carbon wheels, and Fox factory suspension versus mine. Oh, and SRAM brakes, which here and there, neither here nor there on. But I already had carbon wheels coming off my other bike and Fox factory fork in the front. Couldn't change the shock because they were different lengths. But yeah, so the big question was, the main differences, I suppose, between them spec-wise was going to be SRAM transmission, XO or XT. And I just went, screw it, I might as well get the one with the XT and spend a hell of a lot less than an XO costs and on a Di2 and get free shift and auto shift. So I don't know why the brand, and you see this on a few different brands where, especially if it's got a Shimano motor, why not have the Di2 spec'd on them somewhere? It doesn't make any sense to me. You see the top of the line ones, and I get that they're trying to build value into like, hey, top of the line, we put the most expensive drivetrain on, which is the SRAM T-type, and yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense on a Bosch or especially a SRAM powered bike. But yeah, I just, in this particular instance, especially because this brand of bike, Merida, has sort of been big with Shimano motors for a long time. They've sort of been the brand for Shimano's EP series. So yeah, a little bit odd, but yeah, and that the bike I rode today, that's the first time on it, Shimano, the Merida E160 7000, and that'll be in the other video. Yeah, good, really good, absolutely incredible bike, loved it. I'm absolutely stoked with it, to be honest. You'll probably hear that in the other video, but yeah, the free shift auto shift thing, I thought it was fantastic. Keep in mind, I'm not a technical climber. If you've seen EMBN Tech, I think it's Stephen Jones. I'm really bad with names. I don't listen to names. He loves the auto shift for technical climbing. So maybe refer to him for that. But me personally, not being a technical climber, like, I'm probably not the best person to speak about how well it does or doesn't work. So yeah, free shift, auto shift, worth it. Yeah, absolutely. If you, would you drop a SRAM transmission group set to put it on? Don't know. That's an expensive transmission to suddenly decide, yeah, I'm gonna go back and spend a lot less. Does it shift faster? Does it shift better? Like, I don't know. I mean, the SRAM transmission is, I think everyone knows, and the reason why it costs as much and people are willing to buy it is because it is a fantastic group set. The XT Di2 stuff, it's actually been around for a while, but never really took off, especially amongst mountain bikers. And I suppose it's really the e-bike EP801 now with that system. Maybe it'll get more popular, but it deserves to, because like I said, I'm not going to say run out and it's going to completely change your riding, but I will tell you that for a system that, particularly in the automatic settings, that I thought I would probably spend more time manually changing, I was really surprised by how much I didn't actually manually change. I would have spent the absolute majority of my ride not even thinking about what gear I was in, just riding. So it's an awesome thing to have. If you can get a bike that's can spec it, go for it. Definitely worth checking out. So yeah, I've rambled on for 15 minutes now. I'm probably going to start looping myself. Otherwise, yeah, if you can, XT Di2, add it onto a Shimano motored e-bike. Yeah, definitely worth it. Do it. No complaints, and for the costs of that transmission, or that derailleur and the thing, it's pretty bloody reasonable when you can factor in what what you would get for the same amount of money in the SRAM one. Yeah, very reasonably priced, I thought. So do it. Yeah, if you get a chance, have a crack at it. It's fantastic. Cheers.